Hello students, I cordially welcome you all to this session. Only a few days ago, it was made clear that your syllabus had been reduced due to corona pandemic. The deduction of your syllabus contained the previous unit which we dealt with titled Around a Medicinal Creeper written by K.P. Purnachandra Tejasvi. Hence, we have no need to go through it again. Students, let's make our way forward onto a new unit entitled Varu Manishan written by Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. Before having gone through with this short story, let's take our view onto the biography of Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. He was born in the year of 1908 and his last ritual rites were performed in the year of 1994. Students, this period beginning from 1908 to 1994 was his living period during which he lived his life. He was a Malayalam writer, humanist, short story writer, and a novelist as well. Much of his literary works were composed using Malayali language. His way of writing, or we can say his style of writing, was very simple. His simple way of writing made him very popular among his readers. He was the most greatly acclaimed writer by his readers. Our Bashir is known for his sympathetic portrayal of the joys and sorrows of ordinary life. These two elements are seen in the ordinary life. The joy and sorrows are the inseparable part of someone's life. These two elements have been included in the literary works of Bashir. He has portrayed the joys and sorrows in much of his literary works, especially the stories that are written by Bashir have been translated into many Indian languages. Our author was the honorary fellow of Sahitya Akademi in the year of 1970, which means he became a recipient of Sahitya Akademi in the year of 1970 for his literature that he ever composed. And in his later years, he became the recipient of Central Sahitya Akademi and Padma Shri award as well in the year of 1982. This was all about the biography of Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. Students, let's make our way on to the manuscript of this present short story, Varu Manishan. Coming on to this story, what do we get to see is that the speaker of this present story is our author himself. The story is narrated using the first person, which means the story is told to its readers using the first person narration. I will give people an example over here for the first person narration. Here, the narrator of any story uses the words like I wonder, I hate chapati and meat curry, the usage of such words like I becomes the representation of the first person narration. By this, we can come to know that the present story also is composed or written using the first person narration. The present story, especially the stories of Vaikram Muhammad Bashir, stresses on the human values. I told you people earlier, on looking at the biography of Vaikram Muhammad Bashir, we got to see much of his short stories, especially the stories, gives a light on the joys and sorrows of ordinary life of the human beings in the society. In the similar way, in the same way, the present story stresses, or we can say gives a light or throws a light on the human values. Students, here you need to know one thing, that is, what are human values? Certainly a question that rises in your mind: do we really have human values in us? What are these human values actually, or indeed? Now, I have asked people a question over here. You need to give me an answer for the questions that I have asked you people so far. But you can't directly give me an answer, but you assume or imagine yourself to put yourself in a position to give an answer for these questions. What are the human values? Do all the human beings in a society have the morals in them or human values in them? Do we actually or indeed have the moralities in us? What are the attributes human beings must have in them? And here, for the survival of the civilization and the human beings' life, these human values are necessary to keep them all alive in us. Why? Because is it to survive our life in the midst of the society, living our life among all the residents of a society, we need to have these human values. And certain values are there, that is compassion, stretching our hand to someone who is in need, and desire less, enoughness, accumulation of things should be abandoned or should be restricted. And these are the certain values a man must have in him to lead his life very happily in the society. In this way, human beings must have some human values in the society. But nowadays what we see in our society is that these human values are being decreased in the society. Why? Because is that presently we the people find no time at all to give it to someone else. Love, passion, compassion, and stretching our hand to someone else who is in need, and all are these the human values. But you people, here I have another question, that is, does humanity still exist in the midst of the society? Somewhere it can be found, but in majority of the places in this modernized world, in this industrialized world, we can't see such human values in the society. Why? Because is that I told you people in my previous statement that we find no time at all in us to give our time to someone else who is in need, who are deprived from the privileges, who are abandoned from the fundamental things, who are being kept away from the civilized world. In this way, human values and humanity is being decreased in the society. So, our narrator of this present story advises his readers to have some human values in his readers, to live their life very comfortably in the midst of the society that they live in. Students, let's go on to the main script of this present story. The similar circumstances, I hope you all came to know what I am talking about. So far, I have told you people, we need to have some morality or some human values in us, so that our life will be fruitful with other people in our society, so that our life can be satisfied in a way that we think of it. In this way, as we have dealt with the previous elements, our narrator, one who narrates the present story of Oro Manushan, has been caught in the similar circumstances, who was later rescued by an unknown stranger. As the story progresses, you will come to know how our narrator was rescued or saved by a stranger. This is how human beings stretch their hands to someone who is in need. Let's see what happens over here in the present story. Here, you people imagine yourself as the story progresses. The story that begins like this: you had no definite plans. I told people earlier that the story is narrated using the first person narration, which means the narrator. Here, Vaikam Muhammad Bashir is the narrator of this present story. Here, the story opens up with this statement, that is, he had no definite plans at all. Our narrator had gone to a big city which was located or situated at the valley of a mountain. The name of the big city is not given here, and the mountain in which the big city was located is not also given over here, but you assume that there was a big city which our narrator visited to in the quest of a job. In seeking a job, he had gone to a big city which was situated at the bottom of the valley of a mountain. The present city, a big city, was 1,500 miles away from his hometown. You imagine that our narrator's town is located in Kerala, as he was from Kerala, a southern part of our India. His hometown was 1,500 miles away from the city where he had gone to in search of a job. After going to such a city which was big in structure, he had no definite plans at all in him. He didn't have any definite plans. What I have to do after coming into this city? He had no certain plans. Students, wherever we go, whatever we do, we must have some definite plans in us, so that our project that we are going to do, that we are going to carry on, will be successful as we have planned over it. So we must have some definite plans to make the things successful. But here our narrator had no definite plans in him. What to do next after coming into this big city? He had no definite plans. Where should I go? What should I do to live my life? He had no such a plans in him. This is how the present story begins over here. You are wandering around far away from your home. Our narrator had wandered in the sense he loitered, without having any plans in him. He simply kept wandering across the streets, across the big town, across a big town where he visited the tomb. After having no definite plans in him, he didn't know exactly what I should do next for my survival. But though he managed to come to a big town with the purpose of getting a job, but he had no certain plans in him. He kept wandering on the streets of this big city, having no definite plans in him, which was 1,500 miles far away from his hometown. I told the people in my previous statement the fact that a city which he visited to in the quest of a job was 1,500 miles away from his hometown, which he was a resident in earlier. But now he visited a new city, a new big city, which was 1,500 miles away from his hometown. And he had no money with him. Money makes everything possible. If you people have enough money in your hand, we can buy something for our survival. We can buy something to feed ourselves. But our narrator, when he visited this big city, he had no money at all in his pocket. He didn't have even a penny in his hand for his survival. Even to feed himself, it could be a very burden to him. He didn't have even a single rupee in his hand. But with the hope of finding the job, he had gone to a big city. He had no money at all in his hand. He had been an empty-handed man when he visited this big city. Let's see what happens over there. You do not know the local language. Even our narrator doesn't know the local language which has been spoken by the majority of the people of this big city. The residents or inhabitants of this big city have spoken another language which our speaker is unfamiliar with. He doesn't know how to speak the local language of this big city. Majority of the people of this big city have spoken another language which our narrator is unfamiliar with. He doesn't know the local language of this big city. He doesn't know the local language which the speakers of this big city have spoken with. You can speak only English and Hindustani. Our narrator can only speak the two languages, English and Hindustani. Already we came across the fact that our narrator was from Kerala, as he speaks Malayalam language, as he writes his literary works using the Malayali language. We came to know that he was from Kerala. And here you assume yourself that he was from a certain place from Kerala. And there he came to know about only two languages, that is English and Hindustani. He was not familiar with the speaking language of the big city which he visited to. In this position, what might be is applied, what might be the bad condition that our narrator facing after visiting this big city. Even he doesn't know the local language that is being spoken in this big city. He knew only English and Hindustani language, which the residents of big city never have spoken of. These residents of the big city don't know how to speak English and Hindustani. They do not know the languages of English and Hindustani. Whereas our narrator doesn't know how to speak the local language that is being used in this big city. But very few people know either of these languages. Only a few people, a few residents of big city knew either of these languages, which means only one language between English and Hindustani is known to the residents of this big city. Either of the languages is known to the residents and inhabitants of this big city. Usually those people speak a local language which is not given over here to make us to understand which the language is being spoken by the residents of this big city. We don't know after having seen no language at all being used in this big city. But certainly these people or residents of this big city spoke only either language, that is English and Hindustani. But our speaker can speak both of these languages. He doesn't know the local language that is being used in this big city. And this position, this plight or the circumstance that our narrator was in, put him or land him in a position where he, what we call, trembles a lot, where he puts himself in a many predicaments. What do you people mean by predicaments? Is that the situation that our narrator was in puts him in a crisis. That's what we call predicaments. It is not a usual condition that our narrator was in, but rather he puts himself in a predicament, which means in a crisis. He can't usually come out of this crisis so easily. The position that our narrator was in after having no money in his hand, knowing no language, no local language being spoken by the residents of this big city, having no definite plans in him, and is mainly, the main thing is that his hometown is 1,500 far away, 1,500 miles far away from his hometown. The situation in these conditions, the situations that our narrator was in, land him, that's what we call placing, land him in the sense, we can say that placing or put him in a many predicaments, or put him in a crisis, or we can say in an obstacle. Many obstacles or impediments come across our narrator as he visited this city, having nothing in him. Even he had no definite plans in him. You imagine yourself, you people need to put yourself in the position that our narrator was in. You imagine yourself, what are the circumstances you people might face when you are in the circumstance that our narrator was in. Many adventures can befall you. At this moment, when the narrator was in this situation, in these circumstances, in this crisis, Many adventures push him to do something for his survival. Many adventures impel him to do something to feed himself, to survive his life in such a big city. This is how the present story begins with. You find yourself caught in a dangerous situation. At this moment, our narrator was caught in a dangerous situation. He couldn't easily come out of this after having caught in such a dangerous situation. Now narrator found himself in such a situation from which he couldn't easily come out of. He was in such a predicament, that's what we call crisis. He was in such a he was caught in such a dangerous situation. At this moment, when you are caught, when especially where our narrator was caught in such a circumstances, he couldn't do anything for his survival. He couldn't do anything all alone, having no man from his side in this big city. He doesn't know anyone, even a person. No one rescues him at this moment. Everyone is a stranger to him. What can he do at this moment? He can't do at all. Even he doesn't know the language. How can he converse with the other people, one who is a passerby? At this moment, certainly a stranger comes to him and rescues his life. He takes our narrator from this position and puts him in a well-positioned, which means here what I am trying to tell you people is that a complete stranger comes before our narrator at the position when he is caught in the dangerous situation. After having met each other, a stranger completely rescues him or saves him from the position that our narrator was caught. Even after years pass by, you will sometimes remember the man, one who rescues your life, why he did so. Even after passing many years by, as the days pass on, you people one very fine day remember the stranger, one who rescues your life, our narrator's life, one who rescues our narrator's life. One day you will remember him as he rescued his life, which means what our narrator trying to tell his readers is that as he was caught in a dangerous situation, his life was rescued by a complete stranger. At this moment, he felt very grateful for the stranger. He felt very happy at him. He thanked him very much. One very fine day, even after passing many days by, even after passing many days, as the days are rolling by, one very fine day, our narrator remembered him. Why did the stranger do so? Why did the stranger help me? This is how his mind keep on remembering the stranger, one who rescues his life. This is what happened in the life of our narrator. An incident that happened in the life of the narrator has been revealed to his readers over here. Let's say it's I, that's not you who remembers the man. Actually, the narrator of this present story says us that The person whose life is rescued or saved by the stranger is none other than himself, which means the narrator himself. That's not you people, that's not you readers. That is our narrator, whose life is being rescued by a total stranger. Now, the narrator goes on narrating the story that he met with. He says over here, I am now narrating an experience which I had. Now our narrator goes on narrating an experience that is bitter that he tasted ever, which he had. The experience that our narrator is going to share before his readers is a bitter one. Here, what do we get to see is that the experience that our narrator met with in his life is a bitter one. He has tasted many bitter experiences as he met with many incidents. Already we got to know the fact that he had visited a city in the quest of a job. As he visited this city, he tasted many bitter experiences there. That is what he is going to express before all of us. That is what he is going to narrate before all of us. I am now narrating or giving an account before all of us which he had as an experience. Now our narrator narrates a story which he experiences in his life, which he had. I have some vague notions about human beings. Vague notions, what do you people mean by vague notions? Is that vague in the sense unclear? In another word, we can also say that not clearly understood. That's what we call vague notions. We know the fact that human beings are very complicated animals to understand them. Why? Because is that human beings' life is a very the life of the human beings is a web of life, where the aspects or element of the human being's life are woven together in a very complicated manner. So we can't easily understand someone's life. Man is so complicated to understand him. We can't easily understand the emotions and feelings of the human beings. And even we can't understand the perspective of someone. How does he look at the things that he sees around him? We can't easily understand the people's feelings. That's how human beings' life becomes so complicated around us. That's what he says us over here. He had, our narrator, after visiting the big city, he had some vague notions about human beings around him. After visiting this city, he had no clear conceptions or clear ideas in him. Notions is nothing but an idea. He had no clear ideas in him about the human beings. Why? Because he considered the human being's life is a very complicated one. The mystery one. It is always, the life of the human beings is always beyond our thinking. Beyond our extension of our thinking, it always goes on to a larger extent. So that we can't easily understand the life of the human beings. That's what he says over here. He had acquired some vague notions, some unclear notions about the human beings. That's what we see. That's what we see over here. He had no clear idea about the human beings that he sees in a big city, including myself. Not only about the people who live their life around him, but including himself, he had no clear concept even about himself. there are around him good and thieves, especially even after visiting this city, this big city, he has observed some men who are good and thieves. There are two different sorts of people existing or appearing in a big city. They are good people and thieves as well. They live their life in a big city. After going to this city, he observed that there are around him good men and thieves as well. They are the people who live their life in this city. Those who suffer from various infectious diseases and from madness as well. Those people, the inhabitants or residents of this big city, are suffering from various infectious diseases. Infectious in a sense, the disease, the disease which gets easily spread from one to another. That's what we call infectious diseases, which gets spread from one to another person is called infectious disease. From this disease, from this illness, the people have been hit with or stricken with. These people who are the residents of this big city have been hit with an infectious disease, and they are suffering from the madness as well. The madness or craziness has also hit the people or inhabitants of this big city. This is how the people or residents of this big city are suffering from. They are suffering from the various or numerous infectious diseases which gets easily spread among the people, and from the madness as well. One has to live very carefully in such a society, in such a big town, in such a big city. One must have to live their life very carefully amidst all these kinds of people. Why? Because is that around him there are some good men and thieves living their life, and some people are suffering from infectious diseases and the madness as well. Amidst these people, one must have to live his life very carefully, taking some precautions. One must have to live his life. One must live his life very carefully. The world has more evil than good. Having seen this kind of predicaments, this kind of crisis in which our narrator was caught, he has discovered the fact that the whole world has more evil than the good one. This is for sure that we also come to know the fact that the whole world is with the evil rather than the good. The whole world is full of evil things rather than the good things. This is how we have been stricken with. This is how the entire world has been full of. This is what he says over here. The entire world is full of evil things than the good ones. This is how even the city is full of, consisting of thieves and infectious diseases and the madness. We realize this fact only after we get hurt. When do we come across this fact? Is that when do we understand the fact that the world is full of more evil than the good? Is that when we get hurt only, when we are hurt by the members of the society, we can recognize the fact that the whole world is full of evil. After being affected by the evil things in the society. After getting hurt by the evil things of the society, we realize or come to know that the world is full of evil things. That is what he says here. Let me record here that incident which was perhaps quite insignificant. Now, our narrator goes on narrating a document, or now he goes on recording an incident which he has ever come across in his life. Already we came to know the fact that he had tasted a bitter experience in his life after visiting a big city, knowing no local language, having no money in his hand, being far away, being 1,500 miles far away from his home, and having no definite plans at all. This position put him in many predicaments, many crises. This is what he says his readers here. Now, the narrator of this story tells us the story over here, that is, it was quite a big city in the valley of a mountain. Now he says that a city which we are introduced by the narrator of the story as a big city is situated in the valley of a mountain. There was a mountain. The name of this mountain is not given over here. And a big city name is also not given here, but we need to assume that there is a city which was situated in the valley of the mountain. In the midst of the valleys, in the midst of the mountain of the valley, there was a big city which was big in its structure, was located or situated. This is how this big city gets introduced to all of us. It was quite or completely a big city located in the valley of a mountain, some 1,500 miles away from his hometown. The city, this big city, was situated around 1,500 miles far away from his hometown. I told people at the initial stage of this present class the fact that you assume that he was from Kerala. His hometown is also located in one of the cities of Kerala, and he had visited one of the big city which was situated in the valleys of the mountain, which was 1,500 miles far away from his hometown. The inhabitants of which had been never known for the quality of mercy. The people or inhabitants of this big city doesn't know how to show the mercy, the quality of mercy towards the person who are in need. Which means the residents or inhabitants of the city have never been known the quality of mercy. They didn't show the quality of mercy. They were very cruel in nature. Already we got to know the fact that the inhabitants of the city, the people around our narrator, some of them were good and thieves. Some of the people have been suffering from infectious diseases and they were stricken with or hit with what we call the madness. And by this we can come to know that these people haven't shown the quality of mercy. These people are not known for showing the quality of mercy, which means they didn't show the quality of mercy. They have not known the quality of mercy. They were utterly a cruel people. They were very cruel people. They wouldn't hesitate to do anything for the sake of money. They were very cruel in nature. And here the professions of the inhabitants of this big city is given here, that is murder, committing murder, robbery and pickpocketing were the daily occurrences of these residents. And that's what he says over here. These three occupations or professions have been carried out by the residents of this big city. Murder, committing a murder. I told you people earlier that these people wouldn't mind killing another person for the sake of money. In order to get the money, these people wouldn't mind killing another person. That's what we see over here. Murder is the profession that is being carried out by these inhabitants, and robbery. For the sake of money, these people wouldn't mind committing a crime. They would rob a bank in order to get the money, and pickpocketing, and these three things. And especially these people, as many of them were thieves, they would keep their hands in someone's pocket. That's what we call pickpocketing. These three were the professions which were carried out by the inhabitants of this big city. By tradition, the people were professional soldiers. But if you go back, if we start thinking about the primitive ages, if we start thinking the ancestors of these people, what do we get to see is that by tradition, the people were professional soldiers. The people or inhabitants of the city were professionally soldiers. They joined as soldiers in royal army. By tradition, that's what we call in the primitive age, which means in another words we can say that if we go back on thinking about the ancestors of these people carried a profession, that is soldiers. They joined in a royal army. Their ancestors of this generation were soldiers. Some of them went to distant places. Some of the people had gone to distant places to do something. Later we will come to know what they would do there after going to a distant places. Especially these people, the inhabitants of this big city had gone to a distant places which is very far away from this big city to carry out some actions for their survival, to feed themselves, and lent out money on interest. Why had these inhabitants gone to a distant places? Is it to lend out money on interest? Lend out is a little form of lend, which means these people gave a loan on interest to other people. That's what we see over here. These people, after going to a distant places, they lent out money on interest with the purpose of having an interest to get and to gain more money and to earn more money. These people lent out money on interest after going to a distant places. That is what they did in the distant places. Many others served as watchmen in banks, and many other professions have been given us over here. That is, many other people, rest of the people of this city served as watchmen in the bank, and mills and large commercial establishments in big cities. Not only in this big city, many professions have been carried out, but I told you people in my previous statement the fact that many people had gone to a big city only to give out or lend out money on interest, and some of the other people or rest of the people of this city worked as watchman in certain banks. In some of the banks, some of the people, very few of them were appointed as the watchmen, and in the mills as well, to live their life in such a manner and in a very comfortable way. These people found themselves in a position to carry out an action over here, so that many people served or worked as watchmen in the banks and mills as well, especially and in the large commercial establishments like our multinational companies. Not only the multinational company, but in the industrial, in some industrial areas as well, in some industries as well, these people were appointed as the watchmen to live their life. And in another words, we can say that for bread and butter, these people had made their way forward towards the big cities to work as a watchman, and they did it so. After being appointed as a watchman, they served, they put their service as watchmen in banks, mills and large commercial establishments like industries in big towns, big cities. Money was highly valued by them. What we see over here is that money was being given much value by these people. Nothing else was there which was given highly respect by these people, but money was given high value by these people. It was highly valued by these people. For money, they would do anything, even commit murder. Earlier, in one of my previous statements, we came across the fact that these people valued a lot. These people valued money a lot. So, to earn the money, these people wouldn't mind killing another person. They wouldn't mind committing a crime. For the money, for the sake of money, in order to gain the money, these people wouldn't mind killing another person. They would do anything. They would even commit a murder. This is what the narrator says over here. They would even commit a murder in order to gain or earn the money for their survival. This is how humanity or human values have completely been lost in the region where our narrator was caught in a dangerous situation after visiting this big city, to find a job in order to feed himself, in order to survive in his life. Students, let us stop over here. The rest part of this present story will be dealt in our upcoming class. I thank you all for listening to me all through the way. I thank you.